There is nothing perfect in this world. If you choose bear's paw, you will lose the fish. Choosing hell will keep heaven away. Before his rebirth, Gao Yang believed so. After being reborn, he felt that all of this was nonsense. This time, he won't give up on anything that belongs to him. Fighting against heaven and people, only to protect those who love him and those he loves. In this life, not a single one can be missing. You call me a scumbag, no, that's universal love. Chapter 1. The Sea, We Meet Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is no way out in the adult world. What did you do? Then you have to bear the consequences it brings. In 2023. Jinling City, the capital of Jiangdong Province. Jiangshan Building. At 8 p.m. On the rooftop, a middle-aged man was smoking and quietly watching the lights of the city. His face was devoid of sadness or joy, his eyes were tired, his clothes were in tattered condition, and he could still vaguely see patches of crimson. The piercing cold wind cut through his face like a knife, but he remained indifferent. Woo 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 woo. The rapid sound of police sirens went from far to near, and after bursts of sudden braking, more than 10 police cars stopped under the Jiangshan building, and dozens of police officers with live ammunition rushed out of the cars. Gao Yang, you bastard, why did you do this? The leading middle-aged police officer held a loudspeaker, his face sorrowful, and his expression filled with 4 words of disbelief. Heisey, you and my brothers have a fight, thank you for coming to see me off. Gao Yang, don't do anything foolish, there's still a chance. There's a chance. The middle-aged police officer said later, not even believing himself. More than 10 lives, how many shots are enough, there's no hope. But this is his best brother, watching him fall into hell helplessly, his heart as painful and desperate as Ling Qi. The man shook his head and said, Heisey, help me take care of my parents. In the future, during holidays, burn some paper money for me in Sister Shi. Brother, I'll take a step first. Gao Yang. With a painful roar from the police officer surnamed Chen, the man threw away his cigarette butt and fell from the 100-meter-tall Jiangshan building like a dead wood. In the howling cold wind, he smiled, a relieved smile. He silently closed his eyes, waiting for the arrival of death. In the moment he closed his eyes, a strong light collided with him and instantly engulfed him. The games of the 29th Olympiad in 2008 are awarded to the city of Beijing. Beijing. Success. Success. Long live our motherland. A thunderous cheer sounded, waking Gao Yang up. Where is this? He rubbed his eyes and sat up from the bed. The English passage just now seemed to say that BJ's bid for the Olympics was successful. Gao Yang was a bit confused, as he remembered that BJ's bid was successful in 2001. Listening to the whole building cheering, Gao Yang reached out and scratched his feet, then sniffed in front of his nose. Oh. This smell is a bit ethereal. Gao Yang was so dizzy from being smoked by himself, wasn't he dead? Dead people theoretically have no sense of smell. He shook his mouth again, it really hurt. Looking at the old-fashioned calendar on the wall, flipping back to July 13, 2001, with a green face in a round mirror, a faint fuzz at the corners of my mouth, and a sleeping groove, isn't this what I looked like when I was young? Although Gao Yang felt it was unbelievable, he also knew that he was very likely to be reborn. He sat in bed silent for a long time. After all, this thing was too sudden for him to accept in a short period of time. Is all the rebirth in novels true? Did he catch the bus that goes back in time? A series of questions made him feel that the world was really absurd. As an experienced 40-year-old man, after trying various methods to verify, he knew that he had truly been reborn. After another long period of days, a hint of a smile that was not unique to his age appeared on the slightly tender corner of his lips. Sister Shi, I didn't expect to see you again. No matter what, I won't let you leave me again this time. And Jiang, what I owed you in my past life, I will return it to you together in this life. And there are also parents, and Gao Yang thought to himself, habitually touching a cigarette. At this moment, it is necessary to have a cigarette to suppress surprise. After feeling empty, he realized. Where did a high school student get cigarettes? Pai Li Pa. A burst of firecrackers echoed downstairs, reminding him that he had returned to that colorful youth. Son, wake up. Eat some fruit. Su Li held a plate of cut fruits and pushed open the door as she walked in. Watching her son sit dumbfounded by the bed, she let out a deep sigh. I didn't do well this time, and it's not a big deal. It's not too late to work hard after college. Gao Yang looked up at his mother, who was still very young and had no white hair on her head. This made him particularly pleased. In his past life, due to that incident, he completely embarked on a path of no return. First, he dropped out of school and joined the army in his senior year. He became a scout and returned several years later. He went to great lengths to investigate and finally uncovered the truth. Then, he embarked on a crazy journey of revenge. The two elderly people were also deeply saddened by this. On the National Day of 2023, the last time he returned home, they were already in their 60s with white hair. Unfortunately, at that time he was blinded by hatred, but he never thought that if he were to do it in a different way, it might be even better. He rushed forward in 3 steps and 2 steps, hugging his mother. That genuine touch made him realize that it was really not a dream. The guilt left by his past life made him cherish it even more. Mom, I'm fine, don't worry. Although I can't get into Dongjiang University, there's still no problem with Jinling Normal University. In 2001, Jiangdong Province filled out their preferences differently from now. At that time, they filled out their preferences based on the results of 3 mock exams before taking the college entrance examination. Gao Yang clearly remembers that his first choice was to apply to Dongjiang University, and his second choice was Jinling Normal University. Because I caught a cold the day before the exam and performed poorly during the Chinese language exam the next day, I ended up attending Jinling Normal University. Su Li was a bit surprised. What's this stinky kid smoking? Usually carefree, why are you so emotional today? When the two parted ways, Su Li glanced at her son. A few days ago, she was feeling depressed and dejected, but she didn't expect to recover so quickly. This kid has a big heart, such a small setback can't stop him at all. She always felt that something was wrong with her son today, and as for what was wrong, she couldn't say. With thoughts in her heart, Su Li returned to the sofa in the living room and sat down. Lao Gao, I think my son is a bit strange. He even hugged me and looked at him as if he had experienced a lot of trouble. Su Li repeated her doubts to her husband. Gao Yuanshan glanced at his wife and remained silent for a moment. Perhaps it was this setback that made him grow. Perhaps. Besides this explanation, Su Li couldn't think of a more reasonable one. Dad, Mom, I'm going out. The big buttocks color TV in the living room was playing scenes of celebrations across the country after the successful bid for the Olympics. Seeing my father again, I felt inexplicably happy. Lao Gao is still so handsome. Are you still going out so late? Gao Yuanshan asked, and as he saw his son emerge from the shadow of his failed college entrance examination, a comforting smile appeared on his Chinese face. I'll find Heizi to play for a while. Go early and return early, by the way, bring some money. Su Li caught up and took out 2 10-yuan bills and stuffed them into Gao Yang's pocket. Gao Yang was also polite. He was worried about not having enough money to buy a cigarette, and his understanding mother immediately arranged it. Answering the lyrics. Only a mother is good in the world. Actually, the old father is also quite good, but he has a weak heart. Don't come back too late. Su Li shouted to her son downstairs in front of the gate, waving her hand without looking back. This child. Su Li muttered and turned back to the room. Jinghai City, located at the junction of the river and the sea, is known as the Pearl of the River and the Sea. Chen Dehai's house is not far from Gao's house, and Gao Yang walked there in less than 10 minutes. When passing by a small square, many people gathered there to celebrate the successful bid for the Olympics. 2001 was a happy year for Chinese people. With the successful bid for the Olympics, the Chinese national football team will advance to the World Cup and join the WTO, one after another, which will greatly inspire the Chinese people. Lao Gao, I happen to be looking for you. The Chen family lives in the Public Security Family Building, and Chen Dehai's parents are from the Municipal Bureau, which is truly a police home. As soon as Gao Yang arrived downstairs, he saw a sturdy, about 1.76-year-old black boy with acne on his face running over. From afar, he waved his hands and started shouting. Seeing Chen Dehai again, Gao Yang felt that the world was really wonderful. Not long ago, he jumped off a tall building, and the cargo roared loudly below. In the next moment, they returned to 22 years ago. He originally wanted to come forward and hug his good brother, but in the end, he held back. He felt that the two boys were hugging each other, which was a bit strange. It is only natural for a boy to hug a girl. Heisey, when you close your eyes and your mouth, it's really the unity of heaven and humanity. What is the unity of heaven and man? Chen Dehai ran to Gao Yang and scratched his head, feeling somewhat puzzled. Gao Yang pointed to the sky and said, Heisey, do you think this gentle night is a perfect match for you? Get out of your sister. Chen Dehai reacted and kicked Gao Yang, who was already prepared and skillfully avoided it. Youth is great, the air is filled with the smell of hormones. Passing by one with 2 or 8 big bars ringing bells, looking at those bicycle signs, whether permanent, phoenix, or flying pigeons, Gao Yang's heart was filled with mixed emotions. He remembered the scene when his father rode on the 28 high bars when he was a child, sitting in front of him and his mother sitting behind to go to his grandmother's house. Or maybe during middle school, after school, riding a bike without supporting the dragon head and playing cool sand sculpture behavior. It can be said that bicycles have witnessed an era and also witnessed the soaring youth. The two of them quarreled for a while, and Chen Dehai excitedly said, Gao, we have successfully applied for the Olympics. Lack of interest. Ong. Chen Dehai. Old Gao, are you not patriotic at all? Gao Yang disapproved and said, can't you just roar twice and love your country? We need to do something practical. Do something practical. Chen Dehai was a bit confused. He scratched his head again and stared at Gao Yang with his big eyes. For example, making money. Paying more taxes is the true patriotism. Gao Yang patted Chen Dehai's shoulder, what a simple young man. And I am still the same teenager as before. This year is not 2023, but 2001. Come back, that's great. Chapter 2. Lao Gao, apologize and don't cause trouble. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the age of 18, the sky is very blue, 18-year-old youth, very beautiful. Chen Dehai, who is 18 years old, is still a simple and naive person. Making money. Boss, we're still children. What kind of money do we make? Gao Yang pursed his lips. Your sister's is a child, but not my buddy. In his previous life, he took a very extreme path, in this life, he decided to play steadily. As the old saying goes, money can make ghosts grind, so in this life, he will earn a lot of money. For the white and red roses in his heart, as well as the parents and friends who have worked hard to bring him up, such as the silly one in front of him. Let's go play billiards. In 2001, billiards rooms were everywhere and very popular. Indoor, outdoor, just take a few steps and you can always see it. Gao Yang hugged Chen Dehai's shoulder, but Chen Dehai was a bit timid. Lao Gao, it's not good for us to go to that kind of place. In Chen Dehai's eyes, places like the billiards room are not good people to go to. He often hears his father say that there are mixed fish and dragons there, and fights and brawls are a common occurrence. Raising his eyes high and squinting, he took out a bag from his pocket and said, "Do you want one?" Chen Dahai looked at Gao Yang with some surprise, watching as Gao Yang handed over a cigarette. He seemed to have seen a wild beast and quickly took 2 steps back. "Lao Gao, you. How can you smoke?" Chen Dahai felt that he didn't know the young man in front of him. He wasn't like this before. Although a bit mischievous, it's not too much. Look at your cowardly behavior. We've all graduated from high school and are 18 years old, so we're adults. What's wrong with adults smoking a cigarette? Forget it, I knew you wouldn't dare. Gao Yang raised his eyebrows and sneered. He flicked his finger twice at the bottom of the cigarette box, and a cigarette popped out. He reached out to grab it, but Chen Dahai clumsily took it out and held it in his mouth. With a bully expression on his face, he roared, "Gao, light it up, don't you smoke. What's the big deal? Alright, black brother, Xiao Gao will light it for you." Gao Yang ran forward with a low head and a bow, and with a snap, lit a cigarette for Chen Dahai. Chen Dahai took a deep breath and said, "Cough, cough, cough." Because he sucked too hard and choked, this guy bent over and coughed tears. "Haizi, you're still young. If you can't, don't smoke." Gao Yang advised with good intentions, and a smile was almost overflowing from the corner of his mouth. "Young man, it's quite fun." "Who's young?" "I'm 3 days older than you," Chen Dahai said angrily, looking up. When he saw Gao Yang smoking a familiar cigarette, he froze. His father Chen Junsheng is just an old smoker. How does he feel that Gao Yang's smoking behavior is more seasoned than his father's? It's impossible for him to do it without 10 years of smoking experience. But he has been with Gao Yang day and night, and has never seen him smoke before. "Lao Gao, you." Chen Dahai pointed at Gao Yang. With years of tacit understanding, Gao Yang understood at a glance. He looked up at the starry night sky with his head held high, and said with a green aura, "Maybe it's a talent." "Talent." Chen Hanin looked at Gao Yang with some envy, although he felt like he was pretending to be forced, he also felt that what he said was so reasonable. "Let's go play billiards." Gao Yang patted Chen Dahai's shoulder. Lao Gao, wait for me." "Are you really going?" Chen Hanin watched as Gao Yang walked towards a nearby billiards room, and he quickly followed up. "If you're afraid, go back." "Who's afraid, Gao? Don't underestimate people." "Let me tell you, Chen Dahai has a lot of courage." "Ah, the sea, it's all water." "What do you mean?" Chen Hanin scratched the back of his head. "Isn't this guy talking nonsense? The sea is not water, is it still feces?" Watching Gao Yang walk away, he quickly chased after him. The two of them arrived at a billiards room called Kuangbiao. Soaring his hands in his pockets and taking steps that he didn't recognize, several young people with tattooed dragons and vivid tigers in society looked at him in front of the door. He didn't want to be outdone and looked at them, his mouth slightly raised, showing a hint of provocation with a smile. Looking at Chen Hanin again, he lowered his head and closely followed Gao Yang. After encountering the gaze of those young people in society, Qi Guogua quickly withdrew his gaze. "Lao Gao, let's go back." His voice was slightly like a mosquito's hum, with a faint tremolo. "Haizi, you're afraid of picking your hair. Your parents are all from the city bureau, who dares to touch you?" Chen Hanin thought about it and instinctively straightened his waist. When those young people stared at him again, his heart trembled and he quickly lowered his head. "Mad, I'm still a child. How could Lao Gao be so bold, this bastard? Fighting in school used to be okay, but these are all part of society. These bastards can use knives." Entering the billiards room, it was noisy and the air was filled with the smell of tobacco and alcohol. Occasionally, I could see some little girls wearing revealing clothes walking by. Unlike Chen Dehai's evasive gaze, he grinned confidently and stared at the exposed areas of the little girls without restraint. He was already handsome, and with his mischievous appearance, some of the little girls quickly noticed him. "I'm dizzy." Chen Hannin's eyes were filled with shock. He saw Gao Yang, this bastard, vigorously touch a hot little girl's buttocks. Unfortunately, the little girl was not angry at all, but instead coquettishly said, "Brother, you're so bad." Looking at Gao Yang again, he has a calm and indifferent expression on his face. He looks so cheap. Is it really his first time coming to this place? Chen Hannin's belly is full of 100,000 whys. "Hey, what are you foolishly standing there for? Come and play." A loud greeting sounded in his ear, and Chen Hannin woke up in shock. "Lao Gao, I don't know." Chen Hannin walked over trembling. "It's okay, it's very simple." Gao Yang lit a cigarette with an indescribable and graceful posture, which made Chen Hannin envious. "Lao Gao, are you hiding from me that you often come here?" He lowered his head and quickly glanced around, muttering softly. Gao Yang was stunned for a moment and nodded, I've been here many times." In his past life, he had never seen such a big scene before, it was just a drizzle. However, considering that his current identity is only a high school graduate, he doesn't want this silly person to have wild thoughts. "Lao Gao, we are learning." "Alright, stop beeping, hurry up and play 2 sets. Gao Yang pushed a billiard cue into Chen Hannin's hand, stopping him from preaching. "Lao Gao, how are you playing here?" Chen Han timidly approached Gao Yang for a while, which would make him feel very secure. He didn't dare to look around at all. He always felt like he was a different kind of person in here, but instead, Gao Yang felt like he was a fish in water. "Here, I'll teach you." Gao Yang held his cigarette in his mouth and explained the rules of billiards and how to grip and hit the ball to Chen Hannin. "It's not very difficult either." Chen Hannin was quite receptive, but he threw the white ball outside the dry table on the first shot. "Mad, you're using too much strength." The men and women in the billiards room burst into laughter when they saw this scene, including the loudest laughter from the young people outside the door. Turns out they're just out-of-school idiots. These thugs who don't love learning don't even look up to those students studying in school. Chen Hannin's face was black and red like a monkey's butt. He lowered his head and said, "Old Gao, why don't we just stop fighting?" This scene made him extremely embarrassed. "Laugh at Nima, what are you looking at?" "That's right, you're talking about the 4 of you. Dye your blue hair and apply ink, it's black and astringent, the 4 little brats." Gao Yang stared coldly at those young people in society, who were already close to 1.8 meters tall, and with their domineering appearance, many of them were frightened into silence. These days, I'm afraid of being stunned, and I'm afraid of not being scared to death. Although he was only a 17 or 18-year-old boy, his aura was very strong, which puzzled the young people present in society. "What are you talking about, kid?" 3 or 4 young people from society refused. They relied on the large number of people, blushing and having thick necks, and surrounded each other with fierce expressions. Chen Hannin had never seen such a scene before. He pulled his arm high and said, "Old Gao, apologize and don't cause trouble." Chapter 3. Brother, I am Zhang Weidong. If you have anything to say, please speak carefully. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Hannin, who is 18 years old, believes that peace is paramount in everything and should not be impulsive. Fighting is not right. Watching Gao Yang remain indifferent, Chen Han bravely took 2 steps forward and said, "Big brothers, he's not in a good mood today, it wasn't intentional." Pa! The person in front of him swung around and slapped Chen Hannin in the face, directly blinding him. "Why did you hit me? I'm just here to argue. Can you give me some reason?" 3 or 4 young people in society burst into laughter. In their eyes, two dumbfounded individuals are just green-headed. Damn it, dare to hit my brother. A fierce light flashed in his high eyes, and he rushed forward with two mouths. The young man in front of him never dreamed that he would dare to fight back, so he fell to the ground and rolled out a long way with his two bloody teeth. The other three young people looked at it and saw that it was quite impressive. The ferocity in their bones made them pick up the guy and charge forward. For them, fighting is their most common state. CNM. Chen Hanin, who had come to his senses, burst into a small universe. He watched as three people rushed towards Gao Yang. He forgot his fear and instantly transformed into the god of war, Gaoda. He swung a high chair and rushed up. To his surprise, he had not yet joined the war circle, and three seemingly fierce young people from society had already been knocked down by Gao Yang. This guy was kicking them one by one, making them cry and cry one by one. Too fierce. Do you have it? Chen Hanin didn't expect Gao Yang to be so fierce. Sleeping trough, when I was at school, this guy actually hid and tucked in. Stop it. At that moment, a man in his 20s, with a sturdy figure and a scar on his neck walked over. His face was extremely ugly, and someone dared to cause trouble in his venue. Donga. The men and women in the billiards room bowed and called each other when they saw the newcomer, with the words, "scared," written on their faces. Unfortunately, Gao Yang, who was so excited, didn't even pay attention to him, which made Zhang Weidong frown. This little brother, please forgive me and forgive me. Zhang Weidong has been around for so many years, but he still has a keen eye. He saw the scene of the conflict just now, and even he couldn't bring down Ma Chang and the four of them in less than 10 seconds. Who are you? Gao Yang felt a little disappointed after some maneuvering. His physical fitness is still a bit poor. 3 or 4 little thugs, he actually got kicked. It seems that he needs to exercise well this summer. Lao Gao, are you okay? Chen Hanin came to Gao Yang's side, his black and red face filled with concern. Gao Yang said with a stern expression, "What can happen? It's just a few trash, how dare you hit my brother?" Upon hearing this, Chen Hanin's heart warmed. Old Gao. Alright, don't be a fussy girl. He didn't pay any attention to Zhang Weidong and looked at Chen Hanin's face, saying, "Is this swollen?" Chen Hanin shook his head and said, "It's okay, it will get better soon." He doesn't want to escalate the situation, after all, these people are not good people. Gao Yang refused and said, "It's okay. The son of the captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade of the Tang Tang Municipal Bureau has been beaten. How can he be okay? This guy is pulling the big flag with tiger skin, intentionally or unintentionally biting the captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade of the Municipal Bureau." Zhang Weidong, who was originally angry, was immediately frightened upon hearing this. He changed his attitude of about to go berserk, took a few quick steps, arched his hands and said, "Brother, I am Zhang Weidong, the owner of the racing billiards room. If you have anything to say, please speak up." Gao Yang pointed to Chen Hanin and said, "His name is Chen Jinghai. He is the son of Chen Junsheng, the captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade of the Municipal Bureau. Your people hit him. What do you think we should do?" After all, Zhang Weidong is just a troublemaker on the road. Although he is a bit panicked, he still wants to verify it. "Brother, is he really the son of Chen's team?" "I don't believe it, right?" "Alright, I'll call and you'll know." Gao Yang sneered, "Take your phone and I'll use it." Zhang Weidong quickly presented his phone. He had already decided that if it was indeed Chen Dui's son, this matter must be handled properly. On the contrary, he will let this kid know why the flowers are so red. Gao Yang was about to make a phone call, but was stopped by Chen Hanin beside him. "Boss, I can't let my dad know about this, otherwise he will be punished when he goes home." Gao Yang chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I know how to say it." Chen Hanin has always been the only one who stands tall and upright. Since he said so, he didn't stop him. The phone was quickly dialed. "Hello, I'm Chen Junsheng." Zhang Weidong believed when he heard the sound coming from his phone. He gave a fierce glare to the horses behind him, and then stood aside with a low brow and contented expression, not even daring to breathe. "Uncle Chen, I'm Gao Yang." "It's Xiaoyang, your phone." "Oh, my friends. Xiaoyang, what can I do to find Uncle?" "Uncle Chen, are you free tomorrow night? My dad wants you to drink." "Drink, okay, no problem, tell the boss, I'll be there soon." "Alright, Uncle Chen, that's it." Gao Yang hung up the phone and looked at the brand new Motorola V998 Plus in his hand. "Old Zhang, is this the new model that just came out?" "Yes, it's a new model. I just replaced it. If senior brother doesn't mind, you can take it. The most important thing for those on the road is to be able to hold a knife and save face. When it's time to be tough, and when it's time to pick up your tail, never hesitate. Zhang Weidong has done this quite well." "That's not possible, such a valuable item cannot be accepted." Gao Yang pretended to decline. Zhang Weidong sighed inwardly. This kid is young and has more hearts than lotus roots. He will not be an ordinary person in the future. "Senior brother, if you don't accept it, then you look down on me, Lao Zhang." He kicked Ma Chang beside him as he spoke. "What are you still doing? Go get a card for senior brother and recharge 1,000 yuan. Yes, I'm going now. Ma Chang was also frightened. He listened to the phone call just now and flew away as if after receiving the boss's instructions. "Lao Zhang, you're putting me in a difficult position like this. You said this child's face is swollen. Gao Yang is very sorry, how could such an unpleasant thing happen in a rule of law society? Senior brother, I'm really sorry. I'll definitely deal with them hard when I turn around. There's some money here, you take it, you must take it, otherwise you'll look down on me, old Zhang." Zhang Weidong's posture was very low, he had to admit his mistake and stand at attention when he was beaten. With a proud squeeze and a thick stack, I suddenly had a count in my heart, at least 5,000. He suddenly felt at ease in his heart. "Lao Zhang, look at this mess." Gao Yang said with embarrassment and honesty. "I finally have some capital. Senior brother, we don't know each other, we will all be our own people in the future. Come and play any time you want, everything is free." "Okay, Lao Zhang, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first." "Senior brother, you can't leave. I'm planning to stay with you until you're drunk. Next time, if there's a chance, be sure not to get drunk and leave." Chen Hanin couldn't help but be a bit stunned as he watched the two of them show some hypocrisy. Is this still Gao Yang he knows? This guy is experienced as if he had been a veteran in the society for decades. Until the two of them left the pool room, Chen Hanin still stared at Gao Yang foolishly. "What are you looking at? I'll treat you to a drink of Jian Libo. Lao Gao, isn't this okay?" Chen Hanin felt that Gao Yang was too bold. He took that big thug's thing, so he wasn't afraid of him retaliating. Gao Yang hugged his shoulder and said, "Heizi, if you don't say it or I don't say it, no one knows. As for Zhang Weidong, don't worry, he won't be able to curry favor with us in time." "So, how much did he give you just now?" Gao Yang turned his head and glared at Chen Hanin with a wary expression. "Not much, 500 yuan. Chapter 4. Blackpot, have you ever seen Jinghai at 4 o'clock in the morning? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Me Niko I Sakura A-E-O, come dance with me. Me Niko I Sakura A-E-O, come dance with me. As I passed by a video store, the two large speakers in front of the door played the recently popular song, Para Para Sakura. In this era, people's awareness was not as strong, and the relevant departments were not so strict about disturbing the people. Therefore, walking on the road, you can hear current popular songs everywhere. Gao Yang listened to the passionate rhythm and couldn't help but wriggle. The coquettishness made Chen Hannin instinctively stay 2 meters away from him, as if I didn't know him. Fortunately, this guy stopped causing trouble shortly after. Chen Hannin glanced around but no one was paying attention, so he leaned over quietly. Lao Gao, do you think I'll be given a break after getting this one? After thinking for a moment, Gao Yang skillfully twisted out 500 yuan bills from his pocket and patted them into Chen Hannin's hand. Blackie, give them all to you. How about that? Brother, that's interesting, isn't it? Enough meaning, enough meaning. By the way, that phone. Chen Hannin finished dividing the money and looked at the phone in Gao Yang's hand. Gao Yang's heart is so big that he has a sleeping groove. This idiot looks honest, it's not easy. He coughed twice and said, Blackie, I'm going to do some business soon. I can use this phone. Don't worry, when I make money, I'll buy you a new one. Chen Hannin frowned and said, Senior, I always feel like something's wrong. Gao Yang slapped the back of this foolish person's head and cursed, what's wrong? Don't think recklessly, don't drink any more. Drink, I'll drink. Gao Yang went to a small shop called Red Star on the street, took out 10 yuan, and patted it on the counter. Boss, a bottle of Jianlibo, a bottle of big rich beer, chilled. In Gao Yang's opinion, Jianlibo is something for children to drink, and it is most suitable for an adult man to have some alcohol. As the saying goes, a man who does not smoke is in vain in this world, men do not drink, but walk in the world for nothing. So tobacco and alcohol are essential spiritual nourishment for Gao Yang. In the past life, this life is no exception. Great. The boss, wearing a white vest and wearing a head in the Mediterranean, responded, casually taking drinks, beer, and change. Lao Gao, why are you drinking? Chen Han said weakly as he watched Gao Yang pick up beer and pour it into his mouth. Gao Yang glanced at the guy and said, I'm already an adult, different from your little brat. Chen Hannin refused. Old Gao, I'll tell you again, I'm 3 days older than you. Can you take a breath? Gao Yang handed the beer over. Chen Hannin waved his hand repeatedly and said, No, no, I smoke today. If I drink again, my mother will find out and kill me. Gao Yang had anticipated this earlier, but he chuckled and remained silent. Life is nothing but 2 ounces of wine, 1 heart and 1 sorrow. Thinking of this, he once again took a big sip, and a few strands of vicissitudes flashed in his eyes as he looked at the night sky. Lao Gao, my face is swollen. How can I go home? Gao Yang thought for a moment and said, let's sleep at my place tonight. I'll have my mom call your home later. Chen Hannin nodded, the two of them didn't sleep much, so Gao Yang suggested it, but he agreed without even thinking about it. Lao Gao, you're about to go to college. What do you think college is like? Chen Hannin looked forward to his thoughts, representing the vast number of high school graduates. Gao Yang took a sip of wine and exclaimed, the so-called university. Prison management, rogue quality, open kiss, white-collar consumption, dreamlike classes, widespread skipping classes, internet cafes in dormitories, specialized make-up exams, aristocratic tuition fees, 1,000-degree papers, comprehensive myopia, cafeteria feeding, dream job seeking, unemployment after graduation, and migrant employment. Looking at Gao Yang talking confidently, Chen Han rolled his eyes and muttered, it seems like you've been to college before. Gao Yang thought to himself, didn't I just go to college? Of course, he is too lazy to say. After drinking a bottle of wine, he patted his buttocks high and stared at Chen Hannin's black face, saying, Blackie, the swelling on your side is a bit obvious. I'm afraid my parents will find out later. What should we do then? Chen Hannin felt a little flustered. Gao Yang chuckled and said, why don't I also give you swelling on your side? Isn't it balanced on both sides? When asked, I'll say you've gained weight. Get out of here. Chen Hanin smashed the empty beverage can at Gao Yang, who swiftly flashed by. The beverage can, dang, rolled out a long way on the hard cement road. The two of them chased and fought towards the direction of the Gao family. Young people want waves, that's the feeling. After returning to the Gao family, Chen Hanin addressed his uncle and aunt and sneaked into the room under the cover of Gao Yang. Comrade Lao Su, please give Aunt Xiao a call. Blackie is sleeping at my house tonight. Also, tomorrow night Uncle Chen will come to see Lao Gao for a drink. Please prepare. Su Li waved her hand impatiently and said, okay, I got it. Go to bed early. Great. In the room, Gao Yang made a gesture to get things done. Chen Hanin lay sprawled on the bed and said, Mad, I'm so tired. Old Gao, what are your plans when you go to college? After all, you are an 18-year-old child who is still in an age of dreaming and fantasizing. Gao Yang opened the window, took out a cigarette and lit it. His deep gaze swept through the vast night, saying, oh, I don't have any plans, just 4 words. Make money, pick up girls. Chen Hanin sat up from the bed in surprise and said, Senior, we are students. Shouldn't we study hard? Gao Yangbai gave this silly look and said, then I ask you, what is learning for? For the sake of. Chen Hanin was somewhat speechless. So, in 2 days, we'll start making money. For Gao Yang, before the start of school, he has 2 tasks. First, make the first bucket of gold as soon as possible. Secondly, give your body a good polish. Chen Hanin was a bit confused. In his world, making money is a very distant thing. It's okay if you don't want to. When I make money, don't be jealous. Yes, I do. Chen Hanin has always followed Gao Yang from childhood to adulthood, and he doesn't want to be left behind by Gao Yang. Although feeling a bit uneasy in my heart, I still bravely agreed. In his opinion, if you go high, he will do it. Go to sleep. Old Gao. Shut up, sleep. Oh. Watching Gao Yang turn off the light in the darkness, Chen Hanin finally swallowed the words that reached his throat. This guy seems to have changed a lot. He has a feeling of being with his father in the dark. The next morning at 4 o'clock, Gao Yang opened his eyes on time, which had become his habit in his past life. Watching Chen Hanin beside him drool at the corners of his mouth, his pillow got wet and he kicked it with a high kick. Hurry up, it's time for school, you're going to be late. Ah, late. Chen Hanin jumped up reflexively when he heard these 2 words. Just as he was going to put on his shoes, he suddenly scratched his head and said, No, Gao, isn't it already on vacation? Are you on vacation? Oh, I forgot. Watching Chen Hanin pretend to fall into bed, Gao Yang lifted him up from the bed. Take a few naps and wake up high. Chen Hanin said with a mournful expression, No, I'm tired to death. I need to sleep. Have you ever seen Jinghai at 4 a.m., Haizi? What's the 4 o'clock Jinghai, sleeping trough, Lao Gao? You're not mistaken, it's only 4 o'clock. No, I have to go to bed. Chen Hanin thought Gao Yang must be crazy. Haizi, do you want to have skills like mine? Chen Hanin couldn't figure out why Gao Yang suddenly became so powerful. At this moment, upon hearing the lofty words, he suddenly lost his sleep. Old Gao, I think. Young people don't like to pretend to be forced, and Chen Hanin is no exception. Yesterday, the shining moment of 1 out of 4 always hovered in his heart. As a boy who loves to dream, Chen Hanin said he didn't envy, it was hypocritical. Then get up quickly. Okay. At 4 o'clock in the morning in Jinghai, it was not yet dawn. The orange streetlights illuminate the city brightly. There are already some people on the road, exercising and working hard to make a living. Some breakfast stalls opened their doors early. The smell of steamed stuffed buns and deep-fried dough sticks makes the city more smoky. Gao Yang really likes this feeling because it's life. When Gao Yang and Chen Dehai, two young people, appeared, they attracted the attention of many passers-by. It's a miracle for a child like this to wake up so early during summer vacation. Young man, how about exercising? A man riding a bicycle, wearing a white exercise suit, and carrying a long sword greeted him with a smile. "On, Grandpa, go play with your sword." "Well, that." The old man didn't taste it, but Chen Hanin laughed beside him. "What is this child laughing about?" Gao Yang said, "This child is silly." As he spoke, he slapped Chen Dehai on the back of his head and said, "Laugh like a chicken. Bah, adjust your breathing and maintain a good rhythm." Chen Dehai wanted to resist, but was glared fiercely by Gao Yang. This naive person immediately dared not speak up. The old man watched as the two of them walked away. Suddenly, his white eyebrows furrowed and he regained his senses. He spat out a lotus flower and said, "Lie down." This little rabbit. Hundreds of meters away. "Heisey, with just your physical fitness, you're still going to police academy. I think it's enough," he provocatively said with a smile as he watched Chen Hanin gasp for breath. Chen Hanin let out a muffled snort and said, "Old Gao, don't look down on people. If I don't tire you out today, I'll take my mother's surname." Gao Yang pursed his lips, this idiot is not really that foolish. Chapter 5. Uncle, your inventory is easy to handle. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Suburban area of Jing'an City. Xiangxing Leather Company, Limited. A small factory owned by 110 workers. This is Uncle Gao Yang's estate. Gao Yuanhe, with a military background, ran this small factory after retiring, mainly producing products such as leather bags and wallets. In Gao Yang's memory, my uncle had an outdated business philosophy and didn't understand marketing. Eventually, the factory closed down and he owed a lot of debt. Calculating the time, the uncle should be in dire straits at this time. Since he has been reborn, Gao Yang has decided to help his uncle, but of course he also has selfish intentions. Because Gao Yang often comes to uncle's place, all the workers in the factory know him and keep greeting him all the way. Yang is here. A middle-aged beauty wearing a short-sleeved white shirt and black pants walked out of the office and happened to meet Gao Yang. She smiled and greeted her. "Auntie, where's my uncle?" The middle-aged beautiful woman is Gao Yang's Aunt Lin Meihua. The Gao Yuanshan brothers have a good relationship and the two families have always been very harmonious. Inside, Yang, have lunch here for lunch. Auntie will make sweet and sour pork ribs for you. Great. Gao Yang didn't hesitate and after chatting with his aunt, he walked into the factory director's office without hesitation. Gao Yuanhe is worried that millions of goods in the factory cannot be sold and funds cannot be turned over. It is almost time for salary to be paid. How can we deal with this? I sighed and suddenly saw my nephew coming. He immediately put on a smiling face and said, Yang, are you here? Nod your head high. Uncle, you frown so much that you can catch a few flies. Is there anything bothering you? Gao Yang knew nothing about his uncle. No matter how big the matter is, he always keeps it in his heart and easily doesn't tell anyone. So Gao Yang pointed it out directly. Stinky kid, uncle, what's bothering you? Gao Yuanhe stood up, 1.78 meters tall, coupled with his resolute and handsome face, and a handsome old man named Jinghai Gu Tianle. He walked up to Gao Yang and patted his shoulder, his gaze filled with love. Although this kid is a bit mischievous, his academic performance is quite good. Although he did poorly in this exam, he still can't escape a good university. Gao Yang, eat watermelons, chilled with well water. As the two of them spoke, a beautiful girl with a ponytail tied and a grass-green dress walked in carrying a large basin of watermelons. Gaolan, the only daughter of Gao Yuanhe and Gao Yang's cousin. The genes of the Gao family are very good, either handsome men or beautiful women. In this area, it is also somewhat famous. At first sight of this little girl, Gao Yang felt a thump in his heart. In his past life, he neglected this big family for revenge, and when we met again, his heart was filled with guilt. He stepped forward and rubbed Gaolan's hair, but no one noticed. A blush in his eyes disappeared in an instant. Gao Yang, you hate it so much, you've messed up everyone's hair. Gaolan angrily pounded Gao Yang twice, her face full of disgust. Gao Yang, don't be too sad either. You didn't get into Dongjiang University this time. I will definitely help you make up for this regret in 2 years. Gaolan's words made Gao Yuanhe burst into laughter. Gao Yang frowned and said, Gaolan, is there someone like you who comforts people? The siblings frolicked for a while, and Gao Yuanhe cleared up the situation by saying, all right, eat watermelon, eat watermelon. Gao Yang didn't hesitate and picked a big piece to nibble on. Watermelon is sweet and crispy, with a hint of coolness, making it very comfortable to eat. Gao Yang, you are so ugly, just like Zhu Beiji eating ginseng fruit. I'm afraid you won't find a daughter.in.law in the future. If I can't find it, I won't let you find it either. Let's live together. Humph, Dad, Gao Yang bullied me. Gaolan stomped her feet and coquettishly spat at the Gao Yuan River. Gao Yuanhe said, all right, stop making trouble and go help your mother. Your brother is eating here today. Gaolan turned around and pounded Gao Yang twice, making a face before running away. Uncle, is there a problem in the factory? You tell me, I'll help you think of a solution. Gao Yang finished a piece of watermelon and picked it up again, paired with the office fan. It was very comfortable. Gao Yuanhe smiled and said, stinky kid, you've grown up. Uncle, is it that the product won't sell and the capital turnover won't work? Gao Yang suggested. Uncle is good at everything, he just reports good news but not bad news, and carries everything on his own. In my past life, it was because of this that I eventually developed a whole set of problems. How did you know, kid? Listen to what Lao Huang said. Gao Yang lied and Gao Yuanhe sighed. Millions of goods are piled up in the warehouse, and if we can't sell them, we won't be able to pay this month's salary. Middle-aged people are always troubled. Uncle, can you show me your products? Okay, if you want to see it, I can't even think of a solution as an adult. Are you still trying to show off, kid? Gao Yuanhe took out a few leather bags from his desk cabinet and put several wallets on the table. Our product quality is very good. Look at this leather, it's all genuine leather and never adulterated. What's wrong with people nowadays? They would rather buy those synthetic leather than ours. Gao Yang listened to his uncle's complaint and picked up a wallet to look at. The leather is genuine leather, and the style is too old without any embellishments, making it difficult to attract attention. Poor sales are natural. Uncle, quality is one aspect and also needs to conform to the current trend. When making products, we must understand innovation and not let customers adapt to us, but we must adapt to customers. Gao Yuanhe looked at Gao Yang with some surprise. Big Brother had said similar things to him before, but he didn't expect this kid to have the same view. Is he really wrong? Yang, where do you understand these things? What you read in the book, Uncle, you should read more marketing books when you have time. He took out a newspaper from his pocket and pointed to a news item in the newspaper. Look at this news, do you have any inspiration? Gao Yuanhe took over the newspaper and said, I have seen this news on TV before. Isn't it that the new version of the euro will soon circulate on New Year's Day in 2002? Gao Yuanhe couldn't tell, Gao Yang was not surprised. Uncle, take a look here. Gao Yang pointed to one of the words and reminded. The new version of the euro is 2 centimeters longer than the old one. It's 2 centimeters longer, sizzle. Gao Yuanhe immediately tasted something. Uncle, this is a big business opportunity. After the euro redesign, the original wallet won't be able to hold the new version of the euro, so you must seize this opportunity and do it as soon as possible. What we are making is this opportunity. Yeah, Yang, it's really like this. We are truly the future college students with culture. But we have never been in the foreign market before, and this. Don't worry, I'll contact you overseas and make 2 samples first. As for the style, I'll follow what I gave you later. Gao Yang, in his past life, ventured into the business world for more than 10 years to retaliate against Jiangshan Group. Finally, with his own accumulation, he died together with Jiangshan Group. Dealing with these small matters is not easy. As for your inventory, it's very simple. Chapter 6. Gaolan, you need to stay grounded. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Simple. Gao Yuanhe looked at his nephew incredulously. How could this kid feel like an old man who has been dominating the mall for many years? Uncle, what happened yesterday? Our country's bid for the Olympics has been successful. Gao Yuanhe couldn't help but ponder. His brain melon seeds were quite cliché and he didn't think there was any connection between this matter and his inventory. Gao Yang smiled bitterly twice, no wonder his uncle's factory would go bankrupt. He even clicked on this and hadn't figured it out yet. Who will be eliminated if the times do not eliminate him? Gao Yang took a pen and paper and said, Uncle, print the logo of the 5 Rings Olympics on this batch of products, and add a few words of congratulations to BJ's successful bid for the Olympics. Make it more eye-catching, hurry up, and take advantage of this heat to spread the products. Send more eloquent people to Shanghai, Suzhou, Xicheng, Hangzhou, and Jinling, and try to achieve comprehensive flowering. Oh, that seems like a good idea. Gao Yuanhe stood up fiercely. Although his thinking was outdated, it didn't mean he was stupid. When Gao Yang said this, he suddenly felt a bright and enlightened feeling. He picked up the phone from the table and said, Lao Huang, call Lao Ding and come to my office immediately. He has served in the military and has always been swift and decisive in his actions. In less than 5 minutes, Deputy Factory Manager Lao Huang and Sales Manager Lao Ding arrived panting heavily. Boss, what's up? Both of them were senior figures in the factory. Upon hearing the boss's call, they quickly ran over. Gao Yuanhe briefly explained the situation to the 2 of them, and they also took a deep breath of air upon hearing it. Boss, which expert came up with this idea? Why didn't we think of it? Gao Yuanhe straightened his waist and proudly pointed at his nephew, saying, My nephew Gao Yang, college student. Being obedient is truly a college student, with a brain that works well. Although I haven't seen any results yet, I feel that this idea should be very good. The 2 were surprised and gave Gao Yang a thumbs up. Intellectuals are amazing. If successful, it would be like saving the entire factory. Lao Huang, make the workers work harder. Even if they work overtime within 2 days, they must do this well. Lao Ding, the sales department will have a meeting this afternoon. Lao Huang, Lao Ding nodded and immediately rushed away. Looking at the 2 with a cheerful smile, although my second uncle doesn't understand the market, he has a good reputation for the people below. Not only does he eat well, but his salary and benefits are also better than those of similar factories. The people below also believe him. Yang, if you succeed this time, Uncle will definitely thank you heavily. Uncle, thank you. We're all part of the family. Tomorrow, you give me that van and I'll take a batch of goods to set up a stall. Setting up a stall. You. No, you're a college student. How could you do such a thing? Gao Yuanhe was still very traditional in his bones, and when he heard Gao Yang's words, he waved his hand repeatedly and rejected them. Gao Yang smiled and said, Uncle, I won't hide it from you either. I need a startup fund and it must be completed during the summer vacation. Gao Yuanhe was a bit stunned and said, Yang, you want to do business? Gao Yang nodded and said, don't tell my parents about this. So your studies. Gao Yuanhe felt a bit uneasy. Gao Yang said, don't worry, your studies won't be delayed. That's okay, but Yang, if you want money, tell uncle will give it to you. Uncle, I think I earned the fragrance myself. As a reborn person with a middle-aged soul, Gao Yang would feel ashamed to ask his uncle for money. Gao Yuanhe felt helpless. He was very clear about his nephew's temperament. He patted Gao Yang's shoulder and said, Yang, although you are my nephew, your aunt and I have always regarded you as our son. No matter how big this factory is, it belongs to you and Lan. Gao Yang listened to his uncle's words, and his 40-year-old soul became increasingly guilty. Although I successfully avenged myself in my past life, I ultimately betrayed my family. Yuanhe, Yang, it's time to eat. Aunt's shout came from downstairs. Gaolan grabbed Gao Yang's shoulder and the two of them walked out of the office. The Gao Yuanhe family usually lives in a factory, and there is a row of bungalows behind the factory where they live. The leftmost room is the kitchen, the middle is the restaurant, and there are 3 sleeping areas. Gao Yuanhe and his wife have 1 room, Gaolan has 1 room, and Gao Yang has 1 room. In front of the bungalow, 2 tall and powerful wolf dogs saw Gao Yang and immediately ran over with their heads wagging their tails. Their long tongues affectionately licked Gao Yang's pants, and Gao Yang rubbed the heads of the 2 dogs, humming. The 2 big wolf dogs closed their eyes and enjoyed Gao Yang's massage. The scene was very warm and fragrant. Inside, there are 4 side dishes and a bowl of soup on the table. Sweet and sour pork ribs, steamed sea bass, stir-fried pork slices with cauliflower, mushrooms and vegetables, winter melon and seaweed pork rib soup. Gaolan is holding chopsticks, while Aunt Lin Meihua is holding a stack of bowls. There is a large basin in the corner of the restaurant, filled with cold well water and filled with watermelon beer beverage. Above my head, the Great Wall brand ceiling fan was blowing loudly. Yang, have a drink, it's so hot today. Lin Meihua was sweating profusely as she handed Gao Yang and Gao Lan a bottle of Arctic Ocean and then a bottle of big rich beer to her husband. Meihua, don't drink today. I have something to do in the afternoon. Lin Meihua was a bit surprised. Gao Yuanhe smiled and recounted what had just happened, which surprised Lin Meihua greatly. Yang, is this really what you came up with? Lin Meihua smiled as she looked at Gao Yang nodding. That's great, Yang. Your uncle has been worried all night lately and can't sleep. If this method works, our factory will be saved. Yes, truly my nephew from Gaolan. As the couple sang and reconciled, they boasted about something rare in the sky and rare in the human world. Gao Lan, who was standing beside them, suddenly pouted and felt extremely sour. What's so remarkable? I can also think of this method. Lin Meihua's phoenix eyes widened and she said, damn girl, can you think of it? Why didn't you say it? I see, you're just not as good as your brother. Yeah, Lan, you need to be down to earth in your life. If you have half of your brother, I would be satisfied. Lin Lan was so angry that her small mouth could even hang an oil bottle. She stomped her feet and said, Dad, Mom, I'm your biological child. Lin Meihua let out a light sigh and said, I don't know if it's her own. Maybe she hugged the wrong person when she was in the hospital. Gao Lan was furious. You all know how to bully me. I'll tell uncle, auntie. Gao Yang, why are you laughing? Believe it or not, I'll seal your mouth with tape. Upon hearing it, Gao Yang immediately stopped laughing. In my memory, my parents doted on Gao Lan more than I did. If Gao Lan had a kind word in front of his parents, he could responsibly say that Gao Yuanshan and his wife would definitely have a mixed doubles game. After dinner, Gao Yuanhe and Gao Yang attended the afternoon sales department meeting. At the meeting, the main task was to arrange sales personnel to travel to various regions. After assigning work, Gao Yuanhe asked Gao Yang to speak a few words. Yang nodded and said, "Uncles and aunties, I have 3 immature suggestions. If you think it's okay, you can try to adopt them. Firstly, when you arrive at the place, you can spend money to find some support. As Chinese people, we always have a mentality of conformity. If your stall is cold and deserted, others will think that your product is not good. But if there are many people in front of your stall, you can think about it. Secondly, you can play some patriotic songs on site, and as soon as the atmosphere starts, sales will also increase. Thirdly, try to buy as many small gifts as possible, such as keychains, commemorative gift bags, and so on. In addition, if it's hot, the scene can get some free mung bean soup to relieve heat." After speaking loudly, there were bursts of discussions in the office. The sales manager, Lao Ding, stood up and applauded. Xiao Yang spoke so well. His future achievements are limitless. Yeah, I've seen this child make a name for himself since I was young. Hey, their child. Chapter 7. Uncle Chen, I assure Chairman Mao that you are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The Jinghai in mid-July is extremely hot. Although the ceiling fans were blowing loudly in the office, the sweat still couldn't stop flowing down. Gao Yang spent 2 hours drawing the best-selling wallet styles from his past life memories abroad. Uncle, please make a few samples according to these styles as soon as possible. In 3 days, I will go to the Shanghai market. In his past life, Gao Yang had a good friend Henry, who was a French businessman who spent years in the Shanghai market. According to this time period, Henry should have just opened a trading company in the Shanghai market. It would be best to find him to cooperate. After all, he knows his roots and is a very nice person. Do you want uncle to accompany you? Gao Yuanhe asked. Gao Yang shook his head and said, the factory is so busy, I can go alone. If I find a partner and discuss it, I will arrange for you to meet again. Yang, can you do it alone? Gao Yang held on to Gao Yuanhe's shoulder and said, Uncle, I'm already an adult, let's just consider it an experience. Alright, I'm going back. I'll come back tomorrow morning. Alright, Gao Yuanhe murmured as he watched his nephew leave. Lao Ding is right. My nephew really has something outstanding. Gao Yang left his uncle's factory and stopped a taxi. Master, go to the city bureau. Great. The taxi driver was a middle-aged man with a sharp tongue. Young man, what are you doing at the city bureau? Gao Yang shuddered and wiped the sweat off his forehead, his eyes slightly dodging. I've done something, turn myself in. After all, the middle-aged driver is well informed and calm. Young man, what did you do? Hey, I drank a bit last night and accidentally killed someone. Master, if you say I turn myself in, can you get ZF's leniency? Master, I regret it so much. I really didn't mean to. That bastard dared to play with my horse. Gao Yang held his head in both hands, his fingers inserted into his hair, his voice a bit hoarse, a bit panicked, and a hint of crying. Can. The middle-aged driver was already extremely hot, but suddenly felt like he was falling into an ice cellar. At this moment, he wished he could put on his wings and fly to the city bureau, far away from this dangerous element. According to his experience, people like this are the most dangerous. I already had a life on my hand, but if I can't take it anymore, adding another one would be insignificant for them. After all, killing one is death, killing two is still death. Master, please play me the song Tears of Iron Window. Ah, good. The middle-aged driver was about to cry. Mad, today is really unlucky. Master, I heard that you drive taxis and make a lot of money, right? Gao Yang's face showed a hint of madness. No, nothing, if you don't make money, it's just hard money. The middle-aged driver kept wiping the sweat off his face, his hand shaking violently as he held the steering wheel. There have been many incidents of taxi drivers being robbed and killed in recent years. Master, where do you live? How many people are there at home? Do you have a daughter? Master, you haven't taken a detour, have you? No. Absolutely not. When the taxi stopped at the entrance of Jinghai City Bureau, the middle-aged driver felt as if he had been pulled out of the water. It usually takes him half an hour's journey, but it took him 15 minutes to arrive. Master, how much is it? Forget it, no more. How can we do that? It's not easy for you either, you have to give it back. Can you give me 10 yuan? Okay. Gao Yang paid and patted the driver's shoulder before getting off the car. He said in a gloomy tone, Master, if there is a next life, I will still ride in your car. The middle-aged driver couldn't hold back and was scared to pee. This sounds too scary. After seeing Gao Yang get off the car, he stepped on the accelerator and flew away as if, ha ha ha. Gao Yang watched as the taxi drove away, laughing heartlessly. It was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun in the sky was still scorching on me. Familiarly greeting the security guard of the city bureau, Gao Yang ran towards the office of the captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade with familiarity. Uncle Chen. In the office of the captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade, Gao Yang didn't even knock on the door before sneaking in. Seeing Chen Junxing buried in writing, he said hello. Xiaoyang, please sit down for a while. I have something else to attend to. Chen Junxing realized that it was Gao Yang who came and greeted him with a smile. Oh, it's still comfortable here. The air conditioning is blowing soundly, comfortable. Gao Yang took a disposable cup and brewed himself a cup of tea. He lay on the soft leather sofa, crossed his legs, and casually took a storybook from the nearby bookshelf to read. Chen Junxing looked up at Gao Yang, his dark face filled with helplessness. If that kid from my family had raised half, no, 1/3, he would be grateful. Xiaoyang, are you here to find uncle for something? This kid is different from his father. He is kind and honest, and although Su Li has a quick temper, she is also a kind person. Unfortunately, she gave birth to such a cunning and ghostly stinky kid. Looking at their own family, both of them have strong social skills, but they have an honest knot. Do you think they worry about others? Uncle Chen, give me the whole driver's license. Driver's license. Chen Junxing was very surprised. He put down his pen and sat down next to Gao Yang. Habitually drawing out a cigarette, just about to light it, something happened that left him stunned. Gao Yang didn't hesitate to take a puff and said, shout, Uncle Chen, Hua Zi. Good cigarette. Gao Yang pointed it at Chen Junxing first, and then at the same time, his skillful movements made Chen Junxing somewhat suspicious of life. Xiaoyang, are you sneaking a cigarette? Gao Yang repeatedly denied, no, it just hasn't been smoking for 2 days. It's impossible. At one end of your posture, you're just a complete smoker. Gao Yang chuckled and said, Uncle Chen, I have to say that I have talent. Do you believe me? I believe you're a ghost, but as for men, there's no one who doesn't smoke. When you get rich in the future, don't forget your Uncle Chen. Chen Junxing was quite open-minded. That's necessary, Uncle Chen. Don't tell Lao Su about my smoking. Don't worry, I have learned the confidentiality regulations. Chen Junxing liked this kid more and more as he looked at him. He muttered, if only you were my son. Uncle Chen, look at what you're saying. Haizi and I are brothers, and you and my dad are brothers, so in my heart, I have always regarded you as my dad. Really, of course. Gao Yang patted his chest and said, I assure Chairman Mao. Good kid, your consciousness is really high. Chen Junxing patted Gao Yang's shoulder, and the two of them swallowed clouds and puffed up mist. Uncle, driver's license. Chen Chen Junqing chuckled and said, let's go together later. You drive my car and I'll see how good you are. If possible, I'll arrange for you. Uncle, that's a deal. It's a deal. The two of them clapped their hands as an oath. Chapter 8. Uncle Gao, without fighting, one cannot achieve success. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At 5 o'clock, Chen Junqing simply tidied up the documents on the table, grabbed a small black bag, waved his hand, and said, let's go. All right, Uncle Chen. Gao Yang took 2 quick steps, opened the office door, and made an invitation gesture. Uncle Chen, please. Stinky kid. Chen Junqing laughed and cursed, then walked downstairs with a high voice. Along the way, police kept greeting Chen Junqing. Uncle Chen, I heard that you will be promoted to deputy bureau in the second half of this year. Gao Yang remembers clearly that Chen Junqing became the deputy director of Jinghai City Bureau at the end of September 2001. Chen Junqing glared at Gao Yang and said, don't talk nonsense about this. Li Bureau is going to withdraw from the second line, and I am just one of the candidates. I think Uncle Chen is the most suitable. Why? Chen Junqing smiled and looked at Gao Yang, wanting to see what this kid said. Gao Yang flattered and said, it's needless to say. With your temperament and qualifications, if you don't serve as the deputy bureau, no one can do it. Ha ha ha, you brat. Chen Junqing patted Gao Yang on the back of the head. We can joke about this, don't say anything outside. Don't worry, Uncle Chen. I understand the interests here. Gao Yang smiled like a little fox and said, Uncle Chen, that Huazi is good. Let's have another one. You're quite addicted to smoking, kid. Chen Junqing opened his small bag, took out a packet of unopened Chinese cigarettes, and threw it to Gao Yang. You bought this cigarette yourself, and it has nothing to do with me, old Chen, you know. I understand, Uncle Chen. Gao Yang smiled and put the cigarette into his bag. Uncle, is that black Santana yours? Watching Chen Junqing nod, Gao Yang takes the key, opens the car door, and sits down in the driver's seat. Xiao Yang, you are a little dim sum. Chen Junqing sat in the co-driver's seat and was about to give some advice. When he got into the car, he fastened his seatbelt, stepped on the clutch to ignite, released the hand brake, and started in gear smoothly without any setbacks. Looking at him holding a cigarette in his left hand and turning the steering wheel in his right hand. That handsome gesture stunned old Chen. Sleeping slot, old driver. I don't have a few years of experience in this, I definitely can't do it so proficiently. After the car smoothly hit the road, Chen Junqing finally couldn't help but ask. Xiao Yang, when did you learn to drive? Gao Yang smiled and said, my uncle taught me. Yuanhe, no wonder. Chen Junqing thought to himself upon hearing this. Gao Yuanhe served as a transport soldier in the army for several years, and his driving skills were top-notch. With his hands on teaching, there is naturally no problem. Tomorrow afternoon, come and get your driver's license. Chen Junqing still keeps his word. This kid's skills are not weaker than him, qualified. Thank you, Uncle Chen. Alright, stinky kid, why are you being polite to Uncle? Gaojiao. Gao Yang, when Chen Junqing came in, it was already bustling inside. Oh, isn't this Aunt Xiao? It's been a few days since we last saw each other, and it's becoming more and more radiant. My Uncle Chen is so lucky. As soon as he entered the door, Gao Yang saw Chen Dehai's mother, Xiao Hongmei, tidying up the table. This guy rushed up and gave him a hug. Xiao Hongmei's mouth couldn't even close. This child's mouth is sweet, the sea. Learn from Xiao Yang and be like a wooden lump all day. How can you marry a wife in the future? Chen Dehai sat on the sofa watching TV, pursed his lips when he heard his mother's words, but Quan pretended not to hear them. From childhood to adulthood, Gao Yang has always been the benchmark used by his mother to educate him, and he has long been numb to it. Gao Yang patted his chest and promised, Aunt Xiao, don't worry, isn't there still me here? Don't mention one, just your family background. I can even be your daughter. Law in the whole class without any problem. Su Li walked out of the kitchen wearing an apron. Gao Yang, what are you talking about? Give your uncle a call and ask them to come over for dinner. The child strictly obeys the mother's decree. The two families laughed uncontrollably as they watched Gao Yang bend down and give Su Li an ancient salute. Mom, uncle can't come today. The factory needs to work overtime. My aunt is bringing Gaolan over. After making the phone call, Gao Yang came to report the situation. Gao Yuanshan, who had been silent all along, frowned and said, the situation at Yuanhe factory has not been very good lately. The products are all piled up in their hands and cannot be sold. Chen Junqing sat down on the sofa and said, yes, I've heard of this before. If we can't sell millions of goods, how can we deal with it? I told him earlier that we shouldn't just focus on products all day long. The market still needs to be examined. It's the 21st century now, not the past. As the director of the state-owned enterprise office, Gao Yuanshan still has some foresight. I'll help him see if he can find connections to get rid of some. Compared to Gao Yuanshan, Chen Junqing has a much wider network of connections. Everyone has been old brothers for decades, we still have to help each other. Gao Yang just listens without saying a word. Haizi, sit over there. He pushed Chen Jinghai and sat down. Sleeping in bed, how old are you? Watching Huan Zhu Gu Gu, don't you think it's childish? Gao Yang reached out to grab the remote control, and Chen Jinghai quickly hugged it tightly. You mind me, I just enjoy watching. What's wrong? Sitting next to him, Gao Yuanshan sniffed his nose and said, Gao Yang, did you smoke? Smoking. No, it was Uncle Chen who smoked. When I was with him, I got a smell of smoke. This guy reacted quickly and arranged for Chen Junqing as soon as possible. Chen Junqing exclaimed, that's right, I smoked it. But Xiao Yang is already an adult, so he smokes 2 cigarettes. It's okay. It's still too small, too small. Gao Yuanshan felt it was inappropriate, and Chen Junqing chuckled inwardly as he watched the scene. Boss, if you knew your son was an old smoker, I don't know what expression you would have on your face. Chen Hanin looked at his father in surprise. The scammer taught me to be honest all day long. What about you? Just lie and come. Lao Gao, Uncle Chen, even if you're idle, let's play cards. Gao Yang, who couldn't help but be idle, suggested proactively. He didn't want to review this bloody drama with the silly guy next to him. His intelligence couldn't be hurt, especially when Huang Ama laughed inside, it made him feel so uncomfortable. Chen Junqing nodded and said, yes, playing cards, Gao, tidy up the table. Gao Yuanshan stood up with a response and kicked Chen Hanin high. Chen Hanin reluctantly glanced at the little swallow and sat at the table. 4 people leisurely played and upgraded. Half an hour later, there was a knocking on the door outside. Gao Yuanshan said, Gao Yang, it should be your aunt and Lon Lon here. Go open the door. Great. Gao Yang ran over with a card in his hand. Opening the door, Aunt Lin Meihua and cousin Gao Lan stood lively at the door. Auntie, you're very particular about people, and you brought 2 bottles of Wulianya. Gao Yang smiled and took it from Lin Meihua's hand. Your uncle can't come, he asked me to bring a drink to your father and your Uncle Chen. Lin Meihua smiled happily and looked at this nephew, who she genuinely liked. Big brother, Chen brother. She didn't forget to greet the 2 people in the room as she spoke. The 2 of Gao Yuanshan replied in unison, Meihua is here. Decades-old brothers, tacit understanding is not average. Lin Meihua let out a and responded to the kitchen, sister-in-law, I'll help you. Gaolan gave Gao Yang a white glance, entered the room, changed her shoes, greeted Chen Junsheng, and ran straight to Gao Yuanshan's side, pouting with a rosy little mouth. "Uncle, Gao Yang bullied me today." "Hey, Gao Yang, you brat, who let you bully your sister?" Gao Yang looked speechless and said, "Who bullied her? Even if I want to bully her, I don't have the courage." "Uncle, take a look at him. He always thinks about bullying me." Gaolan's acting skills are quite good. With a pout of her small mouth, her peach blossom eyes were watery, directly revealing Gao Yuanshan's heart. A person who usually has principles, when encountering Gaolan, he instantly becomes unconscious. Lon, after finishing dinner later, I'll clean him up with your aunt and vent your anger." Okay, uncle, you must hit him a few more times, he's really tough." Chen Hanin, who remained silent on the side, added, "Yes, Uncle Gao, you can't achieve anything without fighting." With a high and trembling air, he said, "I." Chapter 9. The Rising Red Rose and the White Rose. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. I can't bear it, what can I do? Gao Yang is somewhat helpless, life is always full of compromise. In this family, my mother must be supreme, followed by Gaolan, the little prince, then Gao Yuanshan, and finally it's my turn. His low status is somewhat despicable. Going out is like an old man, staying at home is like a grandson. Heaven is always fair, and the claws of reality have held him tightly. Angry and ready to continue playing cards, the card in his hand was snatched by Xiao Gong. "Gao Yang, you go to the kitchen to help, I'll play cards." The young man raised his teeth and waved his claws. "Gaolan, you're deceiving others." Gao Yang blew his brows and stared. Gaolan raised her eyebrows, and Gao Yang immediately accepted her advice, obediently abdicating and giving way to Xian. "Comrade Su, I'll help you." His attitude is very positive, he can't afford it, can't he still avoid it? "Hey, what are you doing here? What's causing trouble? Hurry up and get out." Comrade Xiao Gao came to the kitchen, but before he could even stand firm, he was despised by his mother. Looking at the three people chatting and laughing in the kitchen and the four outside, Gao Yang suddenly felt like he was just an unnecessary person. "Just as I was about to go downstairs and smoke a cigarette to relieve my pent-up emotions, the young man over there gave me an order. 'Gao Yang, get me a drink.'" The voice continued to be domineering. Gao Yang was so angry that he trembled. He was really bullying people. Gao Yuanshan cursed, "What are you still waiting for? Your sister asked you to go get it, hurry up and get it." "Great." Gao Yang went to fetch the drink with a mournful expression and placed it respectfully in front of His Highness Gongju. "Gao Yang, don't you know how to take a straw? You're really stupid." His Highness Gongju was very dissatisfied. "Alright, I'll go get it now." Gao Yang worked tirelessly, like an old scalper. "Lao Gao, I also want a drink," Chen Hanin said. Gao Yang's eyes widened and he exclaimed angrily, "Go get it yourself. Damn it, the tiger doesn't show any signs of aggression, treat me like a sick cat." "Forget it, middle-aged people don't argue with little kids. Let's go back to our room and count the money to play." After returning to the room, Yang collapsed onto the bed, and two beautiful women with different styles appeared in his mind. One was pure as snow, and the other was mature and beautiful. These were the white roses and red roses in his heart. Red Rose has not returned to China yet. White Rose should be busy working in her grandmother's wonton shop. The day after tomorrow, he went to the Shanghai Stock Exchange, and after completing the task, he decided to go and see the girl he had let down in his past life. In this life, no matter what, he must make her live a happy and joyful life. Thinking of this, a happy smile rose from the corner of my mouth. My little Jiang is gentle and considerate, well-behaved and clever. Where is a little Tyrannosaurus Rex like Gaolan? I don't know which brother will fall into her hands in the future. What a pity. Gao Yang thought and laughed heartily. Looking through the window at the slightly yellowish sky in the distance, my mood inexplicably improved. Jiang, you must be obedient. Dashi Creek, you must be beautiful. Ah, the two treasures in my heart, miss me so much. Just as he was intoxicated, a sharp pain came from his ear. Gao Yang, you're deaf. Can't you hear me calling you to eat? Mom, can't you be a little gentle with your dear son? Just like the other day. Gao Yang protested. A few days ago, it was because you were in a bad mood, and I was afraid you couldn't take it seriously. Now, it seems that I was completely unnecessary. Even if people all over the world couldn't take it seriously, you wouldn't be able to boast. The fact proved that the protest was invalid. Su Ligan didn't want to eat this kind of thing. Gao Yang smiled bitterly. If you knew that your son committed suicide by jumping off a building in his previous life, you wouldn't think so. However, thinking about your past life, you are also quite foolish. You can handle it all by yourself, but have you ever considered what kind of punishment living people would suffer? With this in mind, he raised his hand and gave himself two big mouths. Su Li was startled. What kind of nerves are you having? Comrade Su, have you ever heard of an advertising slogan? What advertising slogan? Men should be harder on themselves. What's so messy? Su Li looked confused. With a loud I suddenly realized that this advertising slogan seems to be coming out next year, which is a bit ahead of schedule. Buzzing. Coincidentally, a mosquito with no discerning ability nailed itself to Gao Yang's face, causing self-harm with a loud, pop sound. Looking at the mosquito in the palm of his hand, Gao Yang said seriously, Comrade Su, I'm just patting the mosquito. Nervous. It's time to eat. Su Li walked out with a displeased expression on her face. Gao Yang Diener followed behind the Empress Dowager, looking like a little Gao Zi from a Qing dynasty drama. On the dining table. After Aunt Lin Meihua told Gao Yuanshan about the afternoon, Gao Yuanshan looked at his son in surprise and almost burst out the words, my son is proud and has the posture of a great emperor. Sure, Xiaoyang, your idea is absolutely amazing. Just rush here and our bureau can digest a batch. Buying this bag not only has commemorative significance, but also elevates to the level of patriotism. Chen Junxing rubbed his palm and said with a smile. Gao Yuanshan said, our company can also purchase a batch, but I won't be able to handle this matter. Meihua, I'll give you a number later, and you can let Yuanhe talk about it himself. Su Li, our education bureau can also go talk. After listening to a few people's words, Lin Meihua's heart was filled with joy. Gao Yang said, I don't think it's appropriate. The person above is very strict in anti-corruption now. Although our hearts are clean and clear, it is inevitable that it will cause unnecessary trouble, especially when Uncle Chen is in urgent need. It's better to be cautious. Auntie, don't worry, according to the original plan, dealing with this batch of goods should not be a problem. Gao Yuanshan and others looked at Gao Yang in surprise. Sure, this kid's consciousness in some aspects is really too high. They are only doing this for the sake of their family, and if they do, it will more or less fall on people's tongues. After hearing this, Lin Meihua also felt a wave of fear. Xiao Yang is right. You are all mixed systems, and the impact is very important. I was too anxious and didn't consider this. Xiao Hongmei. Xiao Yang, this child doesn't seem to be 18 years old. Look at this silly guy in our family, who is even 3 days older than Xiao Yang. Besides eating, sleeping, and watching Huan Zhu Gu Gu, how can he understand these things? Chen Dehai complained, Mom, I understand a lot, okay. You know AP, when you arrive in Jinling, follow Gao Yang well, don't be deceived by others, and even help others count money. Xiao Hongmei hates being stubborn, and if possible, she really wants to put him back into her stomach and reform it again. Gao Yang agreed with a look on his face and said, I know my son is like a mother. Aunt Xiao, don't worry, I will definitely take good care of him. Xiao Hongmei. Aunt Xiao gave you the Shangfang sword. If this silly person doesn't listen to you, you'll beat him. Gao Yanle couldn't do it anymore. He pushed Chen Dehai, who was eating with his elbow, and said, Haizi, from now on, brother will let you go east, but you can't go west. Gaolan snorted and said, Gao Yang is too bad. He knows how to bully the honest black brother. That's it, this guy is so bad that he sheds pus. Chen Dehai thought of what happened last night, and he started to curse inwardly. Gao Yang snorted coldly, you know AP, men are not bad, women do not love. Hi, you little brat, what's wrong with this? A few parents were quite familiar with this, especially Suli, who raised her chopsticks and was about to pull them over, but luckily she slipped high and fast. You eat slowly, I'm full. Sister, I haven't been beaten by society, two little fools. Chapter 10. Boss, your steamed buns are so delicious. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After finishing his meal, Chen Dehai slipped into Gao Yang's room. Lao Gao, are you really going to set up a stall tomorrow? Chen Dehai's family is not short of money, and he couldn't help but look down on this matter. What a shame if my classmates see me. Jinghai said it's not small, but when it comes to big, that's all. It's a relaxed and comfortable thing to casually meet 3 acquaintances. Gao Yang saw Chen Dehai's thoughts. Haizi, sooner or later we will enter society. Your mentality is not good. Isn't that several years left? People always need a process of adaptation. Adapt to being a chicken. Bah, tomorrow morning I will run at 4 o'clock, have breakfast at 5 o'clock, come to my uncle's factory to pick up the goods at 6 o'clock, and we will open the stall on time at 7 o'clock. Unable to be soft, Gao Yang had to come hard. If you want to become someone, you can't just lie in your comfort zone and not come out. That is to say, Chen Dehai is his best brother, otherwise Gao Yang would be too lazy to take him. He waves alone, isn't it fragrant? Ah. Chen Dehai knew Gao Yang very well, and he couldn't escape what he had decided. Ah chicken. Bah, let me tell you about Haizi. What's face? Face is just AP, do you think those successful people have a few shameless faces? Poor and noble only starve to death, understand? It seemed that Chen Dehai couldn't let go of it. Gao Yang continued, Blackie, let me tell you one more thing, you remember it for me. As long as you're not embarrassed, it's someone else who's embarrassed. Lao Gao, hurry up and get back home to sleep. Just like you, you're not even as good as your father in the future. When you leave the house, don't say you know me. You silly kid. Chen Dehai was scolded and angry. Lao Gao, you're such a dog. You can't talk well, isn't it just setting up a stall? What's so remarkable? I'll just go with you. Bully. The clay figurine still has 3 points of fiery energy, let alone Chen Dehai, who is a towering and upright man. Pa. Gao Yang applauded for love, look, this is a young man, great, Haizi. Keep it this way from now on. Why is it a little husband? Chen Dehai was somewhat dissatisfied. With a raised gaze, he said, nonsense, you're only 18 years old. You're not a little husband, can you still be an old husband? Why can't he be a big husband? I say it's just a little husband. Chen Henin buried his head and remained silent as he raised his arrogance. Gao Yang, why don't you go set up a stall tomorrow and take me with you? Gaolan eavesdropped outside for a while, thinking it was fun, so she ran in and volunteered. Gao Yang's face turned black and he said, you're a girl from all walks of life. Stay at home and show your face. Did you do it? It's unbelievable. He muttered to himself, it's better in ancient times. Women nowadays are too free and difficult to deal with. Gao Yang, you're cruel to me. Gaolan turned her head and walked outside. Gao Yang looked at her and felt a big groove in her heart. She quickly grabbed her sister. Law. Good sister, I'm wrong, I'll take you. In order to avoid a meal of bamboo fried meat, Gao Yang had to lower his arrogant head and compromise with his sister. Law. Gaolan snorted and gouged out Gao Yang's eyes, saying, "You're quite sensible. Don't forget to call me tomorrow. I'll call you a hammer. Hurry up and find someone to marry, and harm others." Gao Yang arranged in his heart and smiled at the corners of his mouth, saying, "Don't worry, I will definitely take you with me." After sending away my sister. Law and grandmother, Gao Yang turned around and said, "Heisey, why haven't you left yet?" Jinghai sighed and said, "Why are you still walking? I slept with you tonight." Sleeping trough, you really don't like me, do you? Gao Yang jumped back and wrapped his hands around his chest, like a little married woman who had been fucked up. I'm a person with a reputation and a sense of authority. Get out of here, your sister. I'll wake up at 4 o'clock. What am I going back for? Jinghai felt a bit desperate. Okay, it's not impossible to sleep here if you want. You have to pay, you can't just go for free. She's still a pure and beautiful young man. Lao Gao, you're so disgusting. Chen Hanin ignored Gao Yang and lay down on the bed, like a pig. Gao Yang sighed and said, like an old father, Aunt Xiao is right. She's too silly, she doesn't have any fun at all. She has to endure the hardships of women in this life. Sleeping in the trough, go take a shower, it smells so bad. The next day at 4 o'clock, Chen Han looked at Gao Yang with an irresistible expression. Oh, my beautiful summer vacation was ruined by this bastard. My dream of sleeping until I wake up naturally is over. After finally enduring the hardships of 3 years in high school, I fell into the big pit of Gao Yang. When will I end up? What are you foolishly doing? Get up quickly. Gao Yang kicked Chen Hanin, who looked at him with a resentful expression on his face. Old Gao, can we get up at 5 o'clock? In his opinion, even if we sleep for an extra hour, it would be fine. 5 o'clock. No, have you ever heard a saying? The early bird catches the worm, and men should be more cruel to themselves. If you want to marry by Fume and reach the pinnacle of life, how can you do without enduring some hardships that ordinary people cannot bear? Listening to the grandiose truths, Chen Hanin had no choice but to put aside his lucky heart. After an hour of morning running, the two of them sat in a steamed bun shop. It was still early at this time. In addition to the proprietress and a helper, there was only a thin middle-aged man with glasses sitting in the corner, facing half a basket of xiaolongbao and eating a bowl of soybean milk. Boss, 2 sausages, 4 tea egg, 2 bowls of soybean milk, 4 baskets of xiaolongbao, 4 big meat buns. Gao Yang sat down and shouted at the boss's wife. All right, come right away. The big business came, and the charming landlady was overjoyed. Young people are capable. How can they like those old people who eat a xiaolongbao for only half of it? It's better to be a young man, with plenty of firepower. Lu Sun, an elderly man, once said. In old age, I don't know how good my younger brother is, but I mistake my uncle for a treasure. The boss's wife was very fast and quickly delivered the steamed buns. Watching Chen Hanin happily eat xiaolongbao, he shook his head and said. The young man is still young. Where can I have a big xiaolongbao? The boss's big meat bun is white and fat, and there is more meat. Follow the middle mouth and inhale it. It's delicious and comfortable. Big meat buns are not as delicious as xiaolongbao. Chen Hanin was really human, and said with a disdain. He picked up a grilled sausage and bit it. Gao Yang shook his head again and said, the young man still has no life experience. Eating grilled sausages is not like this. You see how I eat grilled sausages, silly. The guy took the sausage in his hand and dipped it in soybean milk. The red sausage was stained with white liquid. He licked soybean milk and took a bite. Chen Hanin's black face was full of shock, and soon he bent over and vomited. Lao Gao, you are so disgusting. He laughed shamelessly and confidently. A middle-aged man next to him was stunned as he watched the spectacular performance. Behind his thick glasses, his two eyeballs were wide and round, and he said, "Lie down, this young man." After finishing the steamed buns, Gao Yang patted his belly with satisfaction, placed the money on the table, and greeted the beautiful owner, saying, "Boss, the money is on the table. Your steamed buns are really delicious, I'll come back tomorrow." The landlady enthusiastically replied, and suddenly her charming face turned red. She lowered her head and couldn't see her toes, and said angrily, "This little brat is really mature. He's handsome and a bit mischievous. I don't know how many girls he will harm in the future." After breakfast, Gao Yang and Chen Hanin rushed to Uncle's factory. His brand new life begins here.